Apparo Tutorials. Apparo Tutorials. How to email import business case. We start this tutorial video with the minimum requirements you need for Excel import via email attachments. There are only a few steps needed for this, and at the end, we will show you all the settings and security features that can be used to refine and secure the import. You need a table business case with activated Excel import function. And of course, the corresponding database connection. I recommend to test the business case with the same Excel file that will be imported later via email. Obviously this works, and we can delete the imported test data again. The email import business case requires an email connection to an email address that collects all incoming emails with Excel attachments. The Apparo system automatically processes these emails, saves them, and assigns them to the appropriate import groups, and the correct Excel import business cases. This email address is also used to inform users about the progress of the import, or to return error messages in case of errors. We click on New to create the email connection. We enter a name for this connection, and also the email address to be used. Trusted email server is optional, we will take care of it later. Then we need the POP3 settings for fetching the emails. Email server, the port of the email server, and the checkbox for using secured email connections. Also the username, which is in most cases the email address, and the corresponding password. From version 3.3. You can also use IMAP, instead of POP3. Then we enter the SMTP setting for sending emails. The SMTP server, the SMTP port, the username, and the corresponding password. Finally we test this connection. 2 times green OK, and we can save and close this connection by clicking the OK button in the bottom. We can now go back to business cases, and create the EIBC, the email import business case. Click on New, and select Email Import. Here we enter the business case ID, and a name. Then we select the email connection we just created. And click on Next. We need an import group for the import, so we go to Import Groups, and add a new import group. The import group needs a name, but for all other settings here, we can use the default values. The next step is mapping the existing business case. We go to Business Cases, and click on Add New Business Case. We select the corresponding Excel import business case with a double click, and click on Add New File Attachment. The pattern .excel will cover CSV, .xls, and .xlsx files, so we confirm this with OK. We have fulfilled all required settings, and confirm with OK. Email text are optional, and we leave the security settings at their default values. We confirm with OK. And can close the email import business case, which will also save all the changes made. Let's try the email import. We compose an email to the collection address created at the beginning, and attach the Excel file. After sending, it takes up to 10 minutes, depending on the settings, until the email is processed. As of version 3.3, you can find this setting in the Apparo Configuration Manager. In older versions, in the AAFE.properties file. Here you can set a new retrieval interval, and then restart Apparo. The system sends an email received email with the ticket number, the information that the data structure is correct, and that is now being imported. And after the import is finished, another email with the same ticket number, telling us that the import was successful. In case of data errors, the user receives a corresponding message, with an Excel file attached, containing all data errors. The user can download and correct them, and then send again the corrected Excel file via email for import. There are also several other errors, for example, the email attachment could not be mapped to an import group, or if the file name is incorrect, or if the user is not allowed to import the file. In the second part of this video, we will explain all other settings and options, starting with the security settings. They can be found in the Import Group settings on the Security tab. The first setting is a comma-separated whitelist of allowed sender addresses. The use of wildcards is allowed. The second setting is a list of keywords that must be included in the subject line, or the body of the email. If more than one keyword is specified, they must be separated by commas, and all of them must be included in the email. If one is missing, the import will be rejected. From version 3.3. It is also possible to use variables here, which allow you to use dynamically generated keywords. The next setting activates email confirmations, which should ensure that incoming emails with Excel attachments really come from the stated sender address. The emails must be confirmed within the specified time frame. The next setting is enabled by default. It checks if the received email address is mapped to an existing user in the security system. It allows to set a comma-separated whitelist of security groups that are allowed to import attachments to the business cases used by this import group. And it allows you to use security groups and belonging features in the importing business cases, and to use the user name and ID. The last setting here is the option limited access, which means that this import group, and the business cases contained in it, are read-only and nothing is imported. The options are not limited, limited for all, or if a variable returns true. With the variable you can, for example, ensure that there is no access within certain time windows. There is another security setting that can be found in the settings of the email connection used. A comma-separated whitelist of trusted email servers. Incoming emails from servers that are not listed will be rejected. Let's take a look at all the other settings of the email business case. Under Introduction you will find a basic description, as well as the hyperlink to this video, and also examples for a simple and an extended use case. Under the main settings you can find and change the identifier and the name of the business case. You can change the email connection used, and disable this email business case using the checkbox, as well as a text field for comments or a description. And on the Email File System Storage tab, you can change the path used to save incoming emails. Under Import Groups you will find a list of existing groups. You can edit existing groups, or create new ones. The list contains the group name, the order number, arrows to change the order, a checkbox to disable or enable, and an action button to delete the import group. Apparo checks incoming Excel files for matching the import group in the specified order. By clicking the name you can edit the group. Under Main Group Settings, you can find and change the group name, a description field and a checkbox to disable it. Under Error Handling Strategy, you can set the behavior in case of data errors. Roll back the whole import if there are invalid rows, or import all valid rows, and ignore invalid rows. The next setting is for the file format of the data error list. There are several formats to choose from. The last settings is for the used language. It contains a list of all enabled languages of the used Apparo client. The language affects the import behavior because of the different numeric and date and time formats of the used language. On the Business Cases tab, you can edit business cases for this group or add new ones. The list contains the business case ID, the order number, arrows to change the order, the Excel file attachment pattern, and the delete button. The order is used by Apparo for checking incoming Excel files. If the first business case is not matching the import, the next in the list will be tried. The email import settings for table business cases contains the business case selection and a list of the used Excel file patterns. The basic settings contain the Excel file patterns. Wildcards are allowed here. .excel means all Excel file formats as XLS, XLSX, CSV and TXT. It also contains a description field, and settings for minimum and maximum occurrences. The first number defines how many attachments with the specified file name pattern will be required, and the second number how many are accepted. And the language is used for formatting data such as dates. Under Advanced Excel Document Data Constraints, you will find further settings, how a valid Excel document must look like. Starting row means the row number, for example 1, 2, 3, where the data for this business case starts. All preceding rows, for example header rows, are ignored. The next three settings optionally define the number of columns, the minimum and maximum number of rows, including column headers, that the Excel document must contain. The last setting, expected data column types, defines restrictions for the data types of some columns in the Excel spreadsheet. If all cells of these columns do not match the specified types, the whole email will be rejected from this import group. This function is not supported for CSV files. We continue with the Email Texts tab. After sending an email, the application sends reply emails to the user to inform him about the processing of his email attachments. You can set the text and subject of these emails here. If you leave both empty, no emails of this type will be sent. The use of certain variables is allowed. We go back to the main menu of this email business case. There are two response emails outside the import group. One reports that no matching import group was found, and the other reports a general internal error. You can log all email import related events into a custom database table. You can find the SQL scripts, when enabling the description mode, using the hanging green button on the right side. Under Variables you get an overview of all usable internal variables, and can create your own script variables. From version 3.3, SQL variables are also available. More information, and a free trial on Apparo.Solutions.